Now let's talk about one of my very favorite topics, which is lost customer reactivation. And as I told you, referrals are the second easiest customer to get back. Lost customers are the third easiest customer, client, patient to attract. And it's really, really, really one of the hidden gold mines that's in everybody's business is this whole lost customer reactivation. So why customers don't return? Let's first talk about that before we talk about how you can get them to come back. So there's a couple reasons. They're dissatisfied with your products or services, so they're not going to come back. They no longer require your products or services, so there's no reason for them to come back. It's no longer convenient to do business with you. They might move away. They get relocated, so there's no longer at all convenient. They've switched to another provider of your products or services. They found somebody else to satisfy the product or service that you provide. They're embarrassed. They feel like they've disappointed you. This is really kind of an interesting one that we should talk about, which is exactly why you should have a lost customer reactivation campaign. A lot of customers won't come back because they feel like they've broken a promise to you, whereas maybe they had an appointment with you previously and they didn't make the appointment. Maybe they told you that they'll see you in a couple months. They didn't come back in a couple months like they said. And because of that, maybe you have a restaurant and they stopped going to your restaurant for 6 weeks, and now they know that if they go back, you're going to say to them, "Where you been? I haven't seen you." You know, so they're embarrassed to come back, and which is why you really want to have a lost customer reactivation campaign, because you want to let them know it's okay to come back to their business. But the number one reason why, this is absolutely the number one reason why customers do not come back to you, which I have up here on this big screen right now, is that they simply forget. They just forget to come back. See, all the other reasons that's on this list probably don't equal that one reason they forget. And what happens is that it's not their job to remember to come back to you. It's not, because like all of us, live very, very busy lives. It's your job to remind them to come back. And the best way to remind them to come back is to develop what I call a lost customer reactivation campaign. So let's talk about a lost customer reactivation campaign and some of the traits of a good lost customer campaign. First of all, every business has a specific time when someone becomes a lost customer. You have to develop yours. When I was in the menswear business, it was after 6 months. If we haven't seen a customer in 6 months, it's time for them to come back. If I owned a restaurant, depending on the type of restaurant I have, it might be as long as 2 or 3 months maximum. But think about food. People are eating 21 meals a day. And so a lot of restaurants could be a month. If I own a mortgage business, the average person in a mortgage would refinance every 3 to 5 years. So after 3 years, if somebody hasn't come back to you, it might be time to put them in a lost customer reactivation campaign. Real estate, if I'm a residential real estate broker, the average person is moving every 6.5 to 7 years. That changes given economic conditions, but that's on average. If somebody's not coming back to you after 6.5 years, it's time to trigger a lost customer reactivation campaign. So every business has this place where people will come back when you think they should be coming back, and that's when you should be triggering this lost customer reactivation campaign. The second thing is lost customers need to be placed in a separate lost customer reactivation campaign. See, I know this sounds kind of foolish. Let me explain it to you. It's not to put them in a lost customer reactivation campaign doesn't mean you put them in a regular campaign that you send out to your active customers. They need to be put into a separate campaign where they're specifically to get lost customers to come back. The lost customer reactivation campaign needs to let the customer know that you know that they're missing. So you need to point it out to them, because again, they forget. So you need to remind them that it's actually they are missing from coming to your business. And the other thing about it is, because they are lost, they often need to be, and actually I found they always need to be, put into something that's sequential. A one hit to them won't do the job. You have to think in terms of a campaign where there's multiple steps to this. And don't give up on them if they fail to respond the first time you place them in a lost customer reactivation campaign. We always found at my menswear business that at least twice you need to put them in the lost customer reactivation campaign. So if they didn't come in after the 6 months they were missing, we would put them in after the next 6 months, and we'd get as many of them come back on the second campaign as we did in the first campaign. Now that's not saying that at some time you don't give up on them. Yes, you probably do at some point. If they just refuse to keep coming back after you put them in several campaigns, you could put them in an inactive customer file. I never, by the way, suggest you ever get rid of them totally as a customer, because even if they never come back, it's still an asset of the business. Remember I told you in an earlier module that the list is one of the most valuable assets of any business, so you never want to totally give up on them, because if you ever sell your business, that lost customer is an asset to the business. Okay, so let me show you a real lost customer reactivation campaign. This one over here was developed by Royalty Rewards, and this is triggered to go out, which is a jumbo oversized postcard. Actually, I have a sample of it right here that I'll get to. This is one of those 6-inch by 11-inch postcards that I like so much. So let's go back to it on the big screen. As you see, it's personalized with the person's name. Says, "Have you forgotten us?" Photo of a string around a finger. And then it says, "We've checked our records and it's been too long since you visited Joe's Diner." And that could be fill in the blank for anything. "We've checked our records, it's been too long since you visited fill in the blank." So what's really important about this is the fact that we acknowledge to them that we know that they're missing. And there's also an offer that's here, and there's a deadline that's beneath that offer. So it has all the components of a good postcard that we talked about previously, including the personalization that will increase response. And there's the back of the postcard, which again has the personalized name, has the offer that's on there, and actually has it in 2 different places. So that's the first step that goes out in a lost customer reactivation campaign. Then after that, usually somewhere about 10 days to 2 weeks later, postcard number 2 goes out. Because remember, I said you got to go deeper in here. It says here, "Joe Smith, we've been looking for you." And then it says here underneath there, "We mailed you a certificate a few weeks ago. We've been waiting patiently, but we don't think you've been by to visit Joe's Diner. Well, just in case you can't find it, here's another chance to come back." So this is a sequence to go back with an offer on there and a clever little photo of some binoculars. And then on the other side, same thing on the postcard, offer on both sides and deadline. And then after 2 weeks after that, postcard number 3 goes out, which is, "Joe Smith, we're all broken up. Twice now we've spent you a special certificate. Time has almost run out for you to stop into Joe's Diner." So once again, it's a true sequential marketing, which is also reminding them in the early postcard that we miss seeing them. And there's obviously the front and back of the postcard has the offer and the deadline. And we don't stop there. There's a 4th step to this, which is a voice broadcast. Because remember I taught you in earlier module that diversity leads to stability. And in this particular case, you actually want to use multiple media. So not only do we use postcards, but we use voice broadcasts where we leave a message on someone's answer machine. Now, in doing this, I have a couple of things to tell you about voice broadcasts before I read you the script. The first thing is that there are specific rules and regulations for the use of voice broadcasts. I'm not an attorney, and I'm not telling you that this is the legal use of it, but to the best of my knowledge, as of the recording of this, you can legally send voice broadcasts to people that you have done business with in the last 18 months. So as long as you can show the fact that you've done business with them, you can legally do it. Now that may change, and that's the reason why I tell you that you should always check with a voice broadcast provider before you send it out, to check with them as far as what the current rules and regulations are with voice broadcasts. But here's a script that would be the 4th step. And this is a script that I created many years ago that sort of fill in the blank, but hi, this is the owner, manager, key employee name for the name of your business. We recently sent you 3 postcards with your offer. We really do want you back as a customer. Please bring in your offer before expiration date. If you can't find your postcards, that's okay. Simply come to the store and say the code word, whatever the code word is. You can see all the places I underlined or fill in the blank, and we'll still give you the offer. Looking forward to seeing you in the name of your business before the expiration date. Pretty much right to the point, but again, once again, reminding them that you're looking for them. And that's a 4-step sequence in a lost customer reactivation campaign, which will always get you a very, very good result. So my suggestion, once again, is to determine when it is that a customer is lost and develop a separate campaign where you specifically speak to them over multiple steps, acknowledging to them that you know it's time for them to come back to your business.